Okay, we're going to take a look at the game Custer's Last Stand, and that appeared in Strategy and Tactics magazine number 236. Now, I've only just glanced over the rules, and I've done a basic setup here. So this is a kind of looking at the pieces thing, not a formal review, just an impression of the game. And we'll go over the map and counters, and I'll get a few comments in. I always have a bad feeling every time I start a S&T magazine game because, well, you just kind of expect a lot of errata, and this one was no different. So after trying to set up the Cheyenne and Indian villages properly, I decided, well, I better take a look at the errata, and sure enough, there's errata in the setup. There's errata in the counters. There's, what can I say, errata. Anyway, let's take a look at the setup closer. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with the campaign, the game is about the campaign to subdue the Sioux in the summer of 1876. And I'm sure all of you have heard of Custer's Last Stand, and that's how the campaign kind of ended. Anyway, at the beginning of the game, what they call the hostiles are set up in this area here between the Powder River and Rosebud Creek. That's the Yellowstone River on the north. Up here is General Gibbon's column in light green, and over to the far east, we'll warp over there, and that's the Terry column, General Terry, of which Custer was part of that command. And they had left Fort Abraham Lincoln from the east, so they're coming in from this direction. Now we go far, far south, and we arrive here at Fort Fetterman with an infantry command and cavalry, and over here Fort Laramie. So the idea was in the campaign that the three columns would converge on the Sioux from the north, the east, and the south, and well, I guess wipe them out. Now in game terms, the counters are upside down, so there's lots of hidden movement to this game. As you can see, all the counters are flipped, and I'll just flip one to show you what they look like. That's the Minneconjou, and you see Chief Gall and Crazy Horse there. And the infantry counters are pretty colorful too. There's a cannon there, there's the scouts, some infantry, wagon, and some cavalry. Now, I'm not familiar with this game system at all, and I don't know, it's just a typical magazine game for me. I sort of get the magazine for the topic, maybe read the article, sometimes punch the counters, and then never play the game. So this video is more for me, actually, than public consumption. I don't even know if I'm going to play this thing, to tell you the truth. It's the kind of game where I set it up, and I'm bored already. So what does that tell you? What can I say about it? I haven't played it, and I'm not familiar with the rules, so this certainly isn't to be construed as a review by any means. So I've set up the game, and let's see if I even bother playing it. Okay, a lot of this is coming back to me as to why I never end up playing these games, and I think a lot of it has to do with the way Strategy and Tactics writes the rules. Now, you start off, of course, with the contents, introduction, sequence of play. We kind of expect that in most games, especially the sequence of play. That's quite important. But then they go over to sub-commands and activations, and then these heroism rules. But, you know, I don't really care about the heroism rules right now until I understand the sequence of play and how the darn game is set up. Because it says the first player draws a number of heroism markers from that pool. What pool? Obviously the heroism pool. But there's no explanation as to setting it up. I guess you're supposed to read that over here. But they just plunge right into picking up heroism markers instead of telling you what pools to set up. And then later on you're going to go to this operations phase where it says you draw a command marker from that pool. Well, which pool? I guess the command pool, I mean. But where is that explained? So I guess you'd have to go to what? I'll go to movement, there's stacking, zones of control, no, it wouldn't be there. Pursuit and retreating after combat, reinforcement supply, fog of war, victory conditions, no. We're at the end. So where are the force pools that they're talking about? Now, we've got a clump of counters over here. These white chits and stuff. Obviously, I mean, I'm not stupid. I can recognize the heroism markers and stuff. And there's, I guess, a command chit. But nothing is really explained. So before you've even started the game, you're already kind of in a muddle. Now, for those of you who have played this system before, this is probably second nature. And certainly, I shouldn't be criticizing the game without reading all the rules, which I have not done. But they're just not intuitive rules. I mean, I can read all about sub-commands and activations. In fact, I have read about them. But there's nothing about setting up the pools for the counters. And that disturbs me. And these heroism markers, which go for what? Nearly two and a half pages of what each of them does. That could have been done on a chart near the end of the rules. I don't need to know what every single heroism chit does before I play the game. In other words, what's killing this game for me is the rules. I just can't seem to get past them. I can't stand the way S&T games lay out the rules. It might have been fine back in the 70s, but it really hasn't changed since then. Well, I'm sorry, this is 2012 now, and the rule style just hasn't changed. It's maybe it's just me. But anyway, that doesn't matter because I'm not even going to be bothering to play this game. So like I said, this video is more for me, my impression of Custer's Last Stand. Again, it's an impression, not a review. How could it be a review since I've never even played the game? But, you know, game designers, if you want to get your game reviewed, you've got to get people to play it. And if you can't get people to even get past your rules, you're not going to go very far. By the way, there's a nice color map here of the campaign in the magazine. But that's neither here nor there. So I'm done with Custer's Last Stand before I even start. That's it.